Good morning, and on behalf of the Hillsdale High School Alumni Association, I want to welcome you to today's 25th annual Silver Anniversary Hillsdale High School Alumni Luncheon. In past years, on this first Saturday of December, for the last 24 years, we have met at the Elks Club in San Mateo. This year, 2020, the year of COVID, the time of COVID, we're meeting here at Hillsdale High School for a virtual tour of the Hillsdale campus, Hillsdale past and Hillsdale present. Whether you are a young, mid, or old Knight, we trust that you will enjoy this tour and seeing the evolution of Hillsdale High School's programs, facilities, faculty, student body over the past 65 years. I'm Don Leidig, Hillsdale High School class of 63, past principal, 1990 to 2005, and I will be your tour guide for Hillsdale past.
My name is Jeff Gilberts. I have been principal here for the last 16 years. Don hired me 25 years ago as a social studies teacher, and it's my pleasure to walk the campus with you and with Don and talk to you a little bit about what Hillsdale High School is like in the year 2020. So we're standing outside of Sir Cedric's Court in a space that a lot of you might not recognize. The administration and counseling buildings are now to our left, and Hillsdale High School has changed in a number of ways since you were here, including our student population. Hillsdale High School now is home to about 1,650 students, and this is the first year in the school's history where our Latino population has actually passed our white population. We're about 35% of each of those groups. And we also have about 30 languages spoken on campus at this point. Our Asian population is about 18%, our Filipino population about 7%, and then we have students from all around the world at Hillsdale High School. The diversity is really one of the things we're most proud of and one of the things that makes this school so special.
It is 2020 in the time of COVID, so we're preparing for our tour. Here we go.
Students no longer have to go to computer classrooms to work with our computers. So I want to thank Donors Foundation and the district for providing that resource for our students.
As we move down this hallway, the old Knights will remember a cross hallway that came through right about here and entered here on our left to the library, yep. Where I'm sure all of you spent many, many grueling hours studying. And now we'll continue down the hallway. We'll also notice we're missing all the skylights. They were taken out during the renovation.
I do not miss the fact that we didn't have air conditioning when I started teaching here.
Now you're bragging.
So let's turn and go down to the library. So we have an amazing art program here, all different levels. We have an incredible drama program, dance program, visual arts, including the video team that's helping us to produce this today. And these are murals that were created by our art clubs. You'll see this one along this wall. There's another one down here. All student designed and student produced. I think a great example of the talent that exists here at Hillsdale.
Yeah. So we've now arrived at the new library. I think the same spot on the Hillsdale footprint was my and many of yours junior U.S. history class with Gordon Farron, or maybe a Latin class with Magister Warner. I'm not sure. But we're now going to enter the new library. Okay, here we are in the new Hillsdale High School library. You'll see behind me a bank of computers, omnipresent in today's high schools. You might ask, where's the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature? No more little green books. A number of other parts of Hillsdale's educational program disappeared when the high school transitioned to smaller learning communities. We don't teach keyboarding anymore. There is no home ec department except for child growth and development. The industrial arts program largely disappeared. So there have been enormous changes from what certainly the old Knights and even many of the mid-Knights will remember from Hillsdale High School. As the school transitioned to smaller learning communities, and Jeff, maybe you could take a few minutes to tell us about the new program.
Yeah, the changes that we've undergone as a school in the last 20 years, really, Don was instrumental about 20 years ago in creating some conversations about what we needed to do to meet the needs of our really significantly changing demographic population and the needs of students in the 21st century. And so I was fortunate to be here at a time when a number of teachers were really asking hard questions about what a really high-powered, effective school would look like. And we were able to join forces with the Stanford School of Education and think about re-envisioning school. And as we really looked at the model, especially at traditional public high school, we kept coming back to the idea of relationships and personalization, how we could get to know our students better. We wanted to do curriculum in a different way. We wanted to do projects. We wanted to involve students in their education. And the old school model simply wasn't working. In the end, we came to a model called small learning communities. And just the basic design is as freshmen come into our school, we divide them into cohorts or groups of students. Our basic model is about 110 students in a house or a small learning community. We currently have 4 of those small learning communities at Hillsdale in the 9th and 10th grade: Marrakesh, Kyoto, Florence, and Oaxaca. All of those houses named after cities of art and culture from years gone past, from the Middle Ages, the time of the knights. And so as 110 students are put into a small learning community, they're given 4 teachers. Those 4 teachers teach in biology, English, social studies, and math. And so those teachers create a team for those 110 students. Those teachers all teach the same students and all have a release period during the day to work on their the curriculum and on what's at the center of our program, which is advisory. Every student at our school from 9th through 12th grade has an advisor that they meet with every day, a teacher who in the 9th and 10th grade is also one of their core teachers. Those teachers then stay with the students for 2 years and become a house, or really a family. So in Marrakesh, there's a 9th grade team and a 10th grade team. It's had some pretty dramatic impact on the culture of the school. A few years ago, the state of California did a pretty significant survey of all students and staff at every school, and Hillsdale High School on the school climate report card scored in the 99th percentile. That means we were at the very top in terms of how students felt about being at school, their sense of safety, and their sense of knowing the adults on this campus. That's a direct result of our small learning communities. As students then grow into the 11th and 12th grade, they get a new advisor and they get a new set of core teachers who stay with them in the 11th and 12th grade. Students have a lot more choice in the 11th and 12th grade, and so the core is really in their English and social studies. Our students take a range of different advanced placement science classes and math classes. Over a third of our students are taking calculus. So the academic demands have gone up dramatically, and our small learning community model has really been able to support students to the point where now 73.5% of our students last year graduated eligible to attend a 4-year school in the UC or CSU system. That's up dramatically since the time we created small learning communities, and is really at the top of our district in terms of that statistic. Really proud of the work that we've done to create small learning communities, and wanted you as alumni to know a little bit about the school that's happening here in 2020.
Here we go past another lovely mural. Again, I guess, Jeff, the art club?
Yep, art club, 3 years ago.
Great. And we're headed out and going to turn right to the balcony overlooking the Great Court. And that's where certainly the old knights and the midnights are going to remember being able to look over the Great Court. We'll be going by what used to be language labs, foreign language, now world languages, as well as the safety ed classrooms, and a lot of lockers. Alumni, when they come back, enjoy saying, "My locker was right there." Those lockers are all removed and new now.
We're now standing on the balcony looking out over the great courtyard. You might notice 2 things. Number 1, there's some desks behind me, and number 2, there are no students here. So it is obviously during a pandemic. We miss the students. It's a very different feel without the students here. But we are bringing some students on to campus in small groups, about 12 students each at this point. To support them, we're focusing on our ELD students. Those are our English language students who are non-English speakers who really need the support in order to be successful. One of the things we're really, really proud of is our program for our special education students with a focus on our autistic students. And these are students who come to us and are not on a diploma track. We have about 50 students in that program, and we designed an amazing center for them to learn and develop, and they really are an important part of our campus. So we love that section of the school now. The courtyard itself, in some ways, looks very similar to the way it did 40 or 50 years ago.
Very similar, fresher, newer, new paint, new pavement, but I think Ray Ali, who stood there for 25 years on the bridge of his ship, would certainly recognize it. 2 giant pine trees that were here from the beginning, and Jeff just told me, unfortunately, that they are diseased and are going to have to come down in the next year. If there's any woodworkers watching this video, let us know. A lot of good wood there, stone pine. And in the Great Court, as it has for the 65 years of the school, really serves as a center for student activity during class breaks and lunchtime. During the days of the Elizabethan Festival, the stage was down there. One thing that has changed pretty dramatically since some of you were here is Hillsdale High School's graduation is here now, and I'll let Jeff describe that. But one of my favorite stories is, I think it was around 1973 or so. The story goes that that class graduated at San Mateo High School and misbehaved. There were mice running around and marbles being rolled. And Ray Ali, in his deep voice, said, "Never again will we graduate here." And graduations since then have been here at Hillsdale High School. How does that go, Jeff?
Graduation is fantastic. So we have the courtyard, and our students the graduates sit up here on the stage area of the audience out facing onto the campus. And students come to the railing and then walk down the ramps and then come in. We decorate it out in Columbia blue and scarlet red, and I think we found it's been an amazing setting for graduation. Look forward to it every year. I hope we have some sort of graduation this year.
It's my pleasure to introduce Cliff Donnelly, who was one of the original 30 teachers at Hillsdale High School when it opened in 1955. And Cliff's going to share some of those memories with everyone.
I was extremely fortunate to land a job in such a prestigious high school right in my hometown, fresh out of teachers college. And I was the envy of my fellow students there. This was quite a I even had a contract for $5,000 a year, and very happy to have it. So Hillsdale was under construction then. Getting a job here was just fantastic, but I was not teaching in my major. I was teaching in the business department, and I was there for probably 3 or 4 years before an opening in the math department materialized. I was in the math department up until my last, I guess 5 years at Hillsdale. Well, in about the second year of teaching, I guess maybe our principal at the time felt it was necessary to sort of establish a dress code among male teachers. Anyway, we all got a memo from Ray Ali, and it said, "It's okay on a real hot day to remove your coat in the classroom, but always wear it if you're outside on the campus." Well, I was about 26 years old at the time, and that greeted me. I was happy to follow that because I really didn't look much different from the students, the senior boys, and I needed that coat and tie to give me a little distinction. Well, Ray Ali called me into the office and said, "Have you ever played tennis?" And if Ray asked me anything, the answer was always yes at that stage. And I said, "Yeah, I played some." And he said, "Good, you're the tennis coach." So after a few years as the tennis coach, a team really materialized that had a lot of talent. On that team was a young man named John Holdren. He played third position. We had an opponent in the league that was Burlingame High School, actually my alma mater. And they had a tennis club right in their own backyard, and their players were all professionally trained and such. But when they came down to Hillsdale to play on our courts, it was one of those magic days in sports where you just not going to lose.
And now I think we are going to head down the ramps. We'll go into the little theater where Don Ralston directed, and Vanya Morris, and many since then.
We are now standing in a little theater. The chairs are the same. They've been refurbished, and we brought them back, but a lot of the rest of the facility is very different. But it's still home to some amazing performances, from jazz concerts to our spring play. Unfortunately, those performances are not live this year, but Allison Gamlin, our amazing drama instructor, is putting on a virtual play called Almost Maine, which is actually running right now, and you can go on our website, hillsdaledrama.com, and buy tickets, or actually watch it for free, and we hope you take advantage of that.
Our early drama directors, I mentioned earlier, Don Ralston and Vanya Morris, would be very envious of this facility.
I taught English. I loved also teaching drama. The HIT program was something that was a lot of fun. I taught leadership training, a class that I started that I loved to teach. It was great with the kids there. I also liked being UASB advisor. And then probably one of my fondest memories is the Elizabethan festival that we had at Hillsdale. I think I went into teaching because I wanted to have an impact on kids' lives. I wanted to make a difference. I liked the creativity at Hillsdale. Kids were great. I had a lot of laughs there. On Wednesdays, we had a 2-bit HIT show, like for 25 cents at lunch. Kids would come in and watch HIT perform. I hope there'll be some out there who can remember those days. It added a lot. It was almost like a separate theater art, actually, where you have your big, large theater that used to be just a cavernous auditorium that seated about 900 people. It was a big, dark hole with a big old stage. The little theater, I think, is probably pretty much stayed the same. The big difference is the technology. We had the old deals where you change lights from a sideboard, where you pulled the levers up and down, just like the olden days. So with technology now, they don't even resemble each other whatsoever.
We're happy to have Allison Gamlin, who's our current drama instructor, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about our visual performing arts program and the work that we do, particularly in drama.
Hi, I'm Allison Gamlin. I'm the drama teacher here at Hillsdale High School, and I also direct the musical and the play. The lights go down and the audience just goes wild with applause. And I can feel it like pump up the energy level of everybody involved in the show. And it gives everybody life. Honestly, like after weeks and weeks and long hours and late nights of grueling rehearsals, just that reminder that the audience is there just helps to bring some more magic back into the process. And then I really see the cast and the crew giving it their all. Just getting a little love, they're able to give even more. So that's always my favorite part.
I can close my eyes and almost sit right there in Al Leydendorf's American Government class, which was a rite of passage for years and decades of Hillsdale High School students. As we sat in here and listened to Mr. Leydendorf teach us about American government and tell us an occasional joke, like his favorite about the Electoral College having a lousy football team. Kind of an ironic joke given today's politics. Wish they were playing a little more football. Anyway, with that, we can go outside and continue our tour. Here we are in what used to be the art room and the ceramics room. You're going to hear from John Haynes, who carried forth in this area for years and years.
Hi, I'm John Haynes. I was an art teacher at Hillsdale from 1968 to 2001. I decided to pursue art education after I got my degree in painting and drawing, and I became a teacher. I wanted to pass along, to a certain extent, my understanding of art and you know how to do it and how to appreciate it so that people's lives become richer and fuller because of that art experience. Initially, I had stagecraft. I built sets. I had the art commission. I'm sure that these things don't exist anymore, but the art commission was in charge of making signs and posters and programs and tickets and all sorts of things that related to events. I was very blessed over the whole time that I was at Hillsdale that I always had students, art students, that were super talented, that could draw and paint and think and see, things. And that made my teaching just extremely pleasurable. By the time I left Hillsdale, I had a video camera in my room that I suspended from the ceiling. And it was over my demonstration table. So I would video what I was showing, and I had a TV monitor in back of me that the kids could see, so they could watch what I was doing, and they didn't all have to be crowded and piled around me. Oh, another big thing that happened just in terms of materials, oil-based paints and inks and everything like that were banned. I could use oil paint, but I really had a hard time with having paint thinner in the classroom, lacquer thinner in the classroom. And a lot of programs started to use acrylic paints, started to use water-based paint. In my opinion, water-based paints like acrylics and so forth aren't really nearly as good as oil paint because, the blending characteristics and so forth. But that's another thing that took place. A lot of change, a lot of change.
It is something very different now. What is that, Sabrina?
So welcome to the beautiful, wonderful dance room here at Hillsdale High School. We have been really fortunate to have this built for us. As you can see, a ton of space, a ton of storage. It is connected to a green room, which we have not had in the past, and then connected to the little theater. So it makes the world of performance amazing to have all of this together and close like that, where we didn't when I first started here. So.
And do you do leadership here too?
So leadership did start here. We started, when I took leadership over, we were in a different area, and then when the new buildings were built, we did leadership in here. The past 2 years now, I've actually been fortunate to move leadership over to what used to be the auto shop, I think. So I've moved into the industrial arts world. And so it's a very big room in which we get to keep all our things in there and have our meetings and plan all of our activities. So we bounced from what used to be the welding, what was it? It was called welding, right?
Metal shop.
Metals, that's right. That's where I started in
Keith
metals.
Gordon's world.
I came over here in art, and now part of what I do is over in what used to be auto.
Okay, as we walk down the ramp toward the cafeteria and PE, I am right now outside what used to be the student store. I see it's now the market, and many of you old knights will remember many hours in front of the window here.
So as we go along here, this is the cafeteria, still the cafeteria, but we did a significant renovation of the cafeteria area about 10 years ago to create a more welcoming space. Most of the time students are eating lunch out in the great court, so we really tried to create a space where we could bring in large groups of students, have community meetings, have flexible furniture in there, so we're really proud of that space. We hope that you can come by at some point and visit it. And then, of course, over here to our pool facility, we were able to completely renovate it. The pool is now at a 2-meter pool, and instead of having those water polo matches where the goalie was standing up in the 3-foot area, it's now a regulation pool. And Don, no longer a diving pool down in the corner.
No diving pool either for official diving or unofficial diving. Many of you, as I look to the south and the roof, will remember standing on that roof and jumping into the diving pool. Not a sanctioned activity, but a very frequent one. None of you did that, though, I'm sure. We snuck around the outside from the cafeteria, and we're now coming to where, Jeff?
We are now in the music hallway. So we have our orchestra and choirs in this room, and the bands are right next door. Probably very similar in arrangement to the past.
Very similar. I'm looking at it, I noticed the walls have been pushed out probably to give more room or storage. But we'll go into these beautifully renovated rooms. There's also a sound studio, a recording studio I know Jeff will talk about. But those of you that had Duke Campagna as a teacher for many years, or Mr. Ish, Sally Fitzgerald, all of them taught in these exact same rooms, same footprint, just beautifully remodeled.
Everybody, hey, it's time to wake up. Are you ready? Things are gonna shake up. Can you feel it? Feel it on the inside. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
We can always reach a little higher. Find a way to light a little fire. Turn it up and never let it down. You know
Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
My name is Mike Gallia, Mr. Gallia or Mr. G. I am one of 2 music teachers here at Hillsdale, and I teach 5 music classes. I teach audio production, which is a CTE elective. I teach wind ensemble, concert band, string orchestra, and jazz ensemble. And this is my 3rd year at Hillsdale. I love the community at Hillsdale. I think it's my favorite part. It's really nice to teach at a school where I was part of this district. So I was part of this community to a certain extent, but I love the camaraderie among students. It's a really supportive environment with, it's not competitive. It seems very, everyone's supportive of one another, especially in the music department, which I really like. Go Knights. Check out our Hillsdale virtual winter concert. It's going to be December 18th, Friday, December 18th at 7 p.m. I'll be sure to send that link to everybody so you can all see it. It is totally free, and you get to see all of our students hard at work, including a mass piece featuring all 160 students performing the Polar Express. And we have some special guests who are going to appear at our concert. So be sure to check it out December 18th.
Here we are in the 31st Avenue parking lot, looking at the auditorium and theater and the Hillsdale signboard. Jeff, what happened to the old sign with the stick-on letters?
We have upgraded to our marquee. The neighbors love the lights at night, but they're generally patient with us, so we appreciate that. And behind us, the new exterior of the auditorium, that was renovated now a decade ago, and so we're going to get a chance to walk into the foyer, and then you'll get to see inside of this really amazing facility, home to a number of fantastic shows, including Night Moves and our dance program each spring.
And for those of you who performed on the Hillsdale stage, and during your performance, the director said you've got to move from stage right to stage left, and you went out in the rain to do it, we now have this lovely pass-through where you go protected from the elements. So let's go on inside.
This wall behind me was the original wall, and so these doors are still the entrance doors to the gymnasium area. Around me are a lot of boxes. That is a result of the teaching in pandemic. We literally had a box for every student in the school where we put their books, a Chromebook computer, any materials they needed for the year, and met them out in the parking lot and delivered their supplies for the year. We're probably going to do that again to start the 2nd semester. But this facility is wonderful, as you can see, and the gateway into our Homer Zugelder Gymnasium and to our Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame, if you didn't know, is the Leidig Family Hall of Fame, named after Don Leidig, in a ceremony. It was really a wonderful event for the school and a fitting tribute to Don, who has been here for a few years attached to the school. So welcome to the Zugelder Gymnasium and to the Hall of Fame area.
Okay, once again, we're in an area of the school that has changed dramatically. This was the south end of the boys' locker room. We are now in Something that doesn't look like the old weight room with a pegboard and a couple of racks across the hall. Jeff, where are we now?
This is our weight room, and it's home to, we have an athletic trainer, and pretty much this is a facility that when we're in session is used all the time by all of our sports, our girls teams, our boys teams. They're in here training.
You'll see pictures of the new gyms, and Andrew will enjoy probably some pictures of pre-Title IX girls athletics in PE at Hillsdale High School.
The only subject I ever taught was physical education, and it's been my life, and it was the most joyful profession I could have thought of, because I was a tomboy and I loved to be outdoors and indoors as long as I was active. When I first got the job, the campus was new. I don't know, maybe a year. And when I saw that courtyard ending up in a pool that was a whole story down, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I thought I was in a country club. Volleyball was my first big surprise. It happened during the time I was teaching. It went from la-di-da volleyball to a really slam dunk. And I was so happy it became a sport where it was very competitive and very hard work to win. I mean, it was tough. I just loved it when volleyball became competitive. It was so wonderful. We had stick-to-itiveness, which means that the five of us were in the same department for many years. I was at Hillsdale for 10 years, and we never changed our department at all, hardly. Well, Mildred Fox came from Burlingame, and she was the head of the department at Hillsdale when I arrived. And then Diane Clough was mainly basketball, and she was there the whole time. And then I was there too. And Mrs. Pliska, she was a field hockey, a field sports gal. She took most of those classes. We did get our choices mainly because we always worked it out, so it worked out. And then mine was dance and tennis. It was a great school. I'm sure it still is from the reunions that I go to every year. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Okay, we have now traveled from the PE athletics area up to what was the industrial arts wing.
This space, the media arts facility, art room, and ceramics are really responsive to the community we live in, the careers and opportunities that exist for students, and the interests that our students have. So we have digital photography, art of video, animation. We were just talking about the fact that we now have more classes than we can even teach during a given school day. We have so many students who are interested in these programs. So we're really fortunate. We have excellent teachers here and students creating some amazing work.
Looking around, this looks nothing like Chuck Barreco's auto shop.
My name is Charles Barreco. Normally, my name is Chuck. I started teaching at Hillsdale High School in September of 1960. I have been teaching for 35 years. During those 34 years. During those 34 years, I was teaching in the auto shop, and I was also teaching safety education. And then when it got to a few years down the road in my teaching career, we started a new class called Applied Physics. And so I taught that for a couple of years. First of all, there was a preliminary prerequisite that they had to take the basic industrial arts, which was a combination 1 semester of metals and 1 semester of wood. And then that way they would do that as a freshman and sophomore. Then when they came into my class, they were already with such great teachers that we had in our program that they were already conditioned to what I would be expecting them to do in the auto shop. So there was not a rebuilding process. They had a whole area of hand tools, and then at that time there were a lot of component tools, and then when the industry started changing to computers, we then had computer readout items that would be able to go in and tap into the car so that when it was running, they would be able to get a readout and they would get these codes. My team won the California and was allowed to go back to Indianapolis 500 during the spring. And at that time, there were 100 Chrysler vehicles that were on the main straightaway that were there to bugged and they were there to be repaired by the teams. I think we ended up probably out of the 100 teams, I think we ended up around 53 or 54. Then in 1961, I started coaching cross-shelf basketball. And I coached basketball until 1971. Probably the one most gratifying is when we used to win championships, and it was always against Aragon. They were our pet one that we should be able to try to win each year. One of the things that I really enjoy about going to the All Nights Luncheon for the last 24 years is that when I meet former students, the former students bring me up to date on what are the things that they were doing. They always reminisce about all the things that we used to do in the shop. They used to reminisce when, especially in the auto shop, where they were working on an engine and then they repaired it, and they watched their face when that engine first started for the first time after them working on that engine. Very gratifying, and that would usually be one of the big highlights that they would always want to review to me.
We are standing outside of our brand new science wing, 20 science classrooms, constructed 3 years ago. Unfortunately, our students aren't here to enjoy it this year. But this wing also, 2 stories, has our world language program and a child development center.
What languages does Hillsdale teach now?
So students take Spanish as the most popular language. We also have Mandarin, Chinese.
No more French or Latin or German?
No Latin or German or French. We're going to have Owen Lucy, former teacher at Hillsdale High School, biology teacher, is going to talk a little bit about science at Hillsdale.
I was a teacher at Hillsdale starting in 1971. So that's 49 years ago. And those were quick 49 years. And I taught, while at Hillsdale, I taught all sciences, every science you could imagine except for physics. Yeah, when I started, again, teaching biology in the 70s, I don't even remember having a freshman in my class, mostly juniors and seniors, but no freshmen. As you say, now all freshmen take biology, which is great. Now they're college bound. At least they're set up to go to college by taking biology as a freshman, chemistry as a sophomore. They get into physics, they get in their advanced classes. Before, again, back in the 70s, they wouldn't be taking biology. They'd probably end up taking general science. General science, I think in those days you had to have a year of physical science and a year of life science. In general science, you had a semester of physical the first, and then the second semester was life science. It was taught by Pete Pitkin, probably the most organized teacher in the district, maybe in US history. He had all his lessons on stencils. He'd send them down to the district office, and they'd ship them back in a truck, and he put them all on a slide, and he could tell you what he was going to do every day of the year. Well, back to smaller learning communities with biology, they're set up if they do well, of course, and you know, continue. They could end up going to at least a junior college or maybe a 4-year school. They're starting off on the right foot, and it's interesting. You know, we used to always think, oh, freshmen, they can't do the biology; it's too hard. It isn't. They did really quite well in my classes, I thought. I was impressed with the freshmen taking biology. For 9 years, I coached frost-top basketball at Hillsdale with Bill Wilkin. He was the varsity coach. I also coached I think it was about 5 years, maybe 6 years of golf. I say coaching, but really all I did was chaperone. I couldn't coach those kids. They were much better than I was. You got to remember Don Stremme. Where are you, Don Stremme? Somewhere in Arizona. He hit I was coaching, crossed off, but it was a varsity game. Don Stremme hit the winning shot in the 5th overtime against Aragon to win a championship. Yeah, so those are a few memories.
Next, we'd like to allow you a chance to take a peek into our Peace Pantry. Very proud of the fact that Hillsdale is a community and that we are here to serve and support students in a time of significant need. So to our Peace Pantry, and thank you to all those people who make it possible. And we want you to have an opportunity to see into this part of our school as well.
It is often said that during difficult times, communities are defined by their ability to support those who are impacted the most. Rest assured, the Hillsdale community stands together. My name is Brett Stevenson, Assistant Principal at Hillsdale High School. In the fall of 2019, Hillsdale began to notice an increasing number of students and families experiencing food insecurity. Hillsdale responded by launching our Peace Pantry in September. Initially, we supported families twice a month with food and essential items. When the pandemic hit in March and school shut down, our list of families requesting support grew from 27 families to 130 families almost overnight. Again, the Hillsdale community responded by raising money to support our families with a $100 Target gift card every other week. However, providing the Target gift card was no longer sustainable, so we were able to pivot in early May and partner with our district's Bridge program to open our Hillsdale Peace Pantry emergency food drive-thru to serve 90 Hillsdale families and 30 Bridge families. Thanks to our partnership with Second Harvest Food Bank, we were now able to provide families with a week's worth of groceries. In addition, Hillsdale also partnered with Mi Rancho Market in downtown San Mateo to purchase 140 bags of groceries to supplement what we received from Second Harvest. Since May, our Peace Pantry food drive-thru has helped to keep our families fed for the last 26 weeks. In addition to our drive-thru, our Peace Pantry also makes over 60 home deliveries, demonstrating our unbelievable support from teachers, staff, and parents on behalf of our families.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our tour of Hillsdale High School past and present. We hope you've enjoyed it. And we would like to thank the man behind the camera, Hillsdale student Jojo, and the teacher who's made this possible, Sally Rain. Thank you to both of you and the people that are going to be doing the editing. We are now going to go to the third phase of our luncheon, which are the mini class reunions that will resemble the time you spent around tables at the Elks Club. So we hope you enjoy that as well.